There is nothing more expensive than a cheap sailboat. None. Not private school, not horses, not a 10-year-old Ford with the stupid touchscreen that just stops working. A cheap sailboat is the only thing on earth that can cost you $5,000 and then immediately start invoicing you like it's a long distance provider in the 90s. Let me explain. You're scrolling through Facebook Marketplace. There it is. Solid 30-foot cruiser needs TLC. Owner moving must sell. $4,500. $4,500. That's less than a used jet ski. You think you found a loophole in capitalism. You haven't. You've found a fiberglass timeshare. You go look at it. The hull looks fine. It floats. The owner says, yeah, she's solid, just needs a little love. Translation? I've emotionally detached from this boat and now it's your problem. You hand over the cash, you drive home feeling like Warren Buffett. You're not Warren Buffett, you're the intern. Now let's talk about what exactly happens next. First up, standing rigging. You don't want the mast to fall down. You look up at the mast, all that stainless wire looks fine. It's shiny-ish. It's been there since 1984. But hey, stainless is forever, right? No, stainless rigging is not forever. It's a ticking clock made of metal spaghetti. On a typical 30-footer, if you go DIY and just buy the wire and the fittings, you're probably looking at anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 on the high side. If you pay a professional to do it, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. That's before you even talk about replacing the furler if it needs one. So your $5,000 boat just quietly doubled in value without increasing in value. And here's the fun part. Nobody compliments the new rigging you just put on. You don't get to show it off. Nobody walks down the dock and says, wow, look at those fresh shrouds. They just assume you're not going to drop the mast on them now. Rigging is like milk. After 20 years, it doesn't look dramatic, it just quietly becomes a science experiment. And if it goes wrong, the whole mast comes crashing down without warning. I was on a CNC 37 in 25 knots when the backstay went ping and decided it didn't want to be a backstay anymore. It was like a guitar string breaking, and it showed no signs of wear. The alternative to dropping thousands of dollars on rigging is to do some of this work yourself. Get to Staylock or similar tools and hardware and learn a new trade. Next, sails. The owner says, they're fine, they're still in good shape. You unfurl the Genoa and it looks like a pillowcase that's been through a divorce. The mainsail, it has a shape, just not the shape it was designed to have. A new mainsail and 135 Genoa for a 30-footer, $5,000 to $8,000. Those aren't racing sails, not carbon fiber spaceship sails, just normal cruising Dacron sails. So now your $5,000 boat is pushing $10,000, and you still haven't addressed the thing that makes noise when you hit the key. But a side note, you don't have to buy new sails. You have a few options. I have a similar size rig to a lot of the race boats around here, and because I race with all those guys, I know who just bought new sails, and I swoop in and I buy their used 4 or 5-year-old sails. Usually $1,000, maybe $2,000 nets me a nice set of used sails. If you buy a super common boat, let's say Catalina 30 or something like that, chances are very good that with some effort, you'll find used sails on Marketplace like once a month. Or you can go to a sail loft and ask what they have laying around. Most well-established lofts have tons of used serviceable sails for a discount. They won't be the prettiest, but they'll get the job done. Expect 800 plus for something decent. The engine, yes, it runs, is what it said in the ad. Every cheap boat runs until it doesn't. You start it up, it coughs, it shakes, and emits a puff of smoke that smells like 1987. You convince yourself it's just character, that you can fix it, or it's really not that bad, but here's the reality. Repowering a 30-footer with a new diesel, the engine package alone can be $15,000. Installation, $7,000 to $12,000 depending on access and engine beds and alignment and exhaust work and how many bolts snap just to ruin your day. So conservatively, you're $20,000 to $25,000 into that decision on a boat you bought for $5,000. Was it worth it? And here's the thing people don't understand. A repower is not like replacing your lawnmower. It's open heart surgery on a boat, performed inside a cupboard. You don't just swap engines, you remove cabinetry, you fight seized bolts, you realign shafts, you fabricate brackets, you redo wiring, you redo fuel lines. When you're not welding, you're cutting something. You discover other things that were fine on this boat in the process. It's not a purchase, it's a renovation. But of course, there is a way to make it work, a slightly less financially painful way. You can buy a Beta Marine. Beta is this company that's pretty great. They came along and said, wow, there sure are a lot of boats with old Atomic 4s and Universals and old Yanmars. We should make a few engines that bolt right in and are exactly the same size as those. And they did, for less than 10 grand. My friend just picked up a brand new Beta for 8 grand and she's installing it where her Universal was. And while this is no small task, if you do the work, you can save a bundle. Let's talk about decks. You walk across the foredeck, feels a little soft, just a little bounce. You tell yourself, it's probably normal. No, it's not normal. That's water intrusion saying hello. Recoring a small soft section, even a modest area, can turn into thousands of dollars in shop labor. Grinding and cutting and drying, replacing core, laminating, fairing, matching non-skid so it doesn't look like you repaired it with a spoon. Deck core is where sailboats go to die. Most sailboats that get cut up are cut up halfway through a deck core repair. More than any other time. It's kind of do or die, and once you get into the repair, most people quit halfway. Deck core repair is dentistry for boats. The drilling part's pretty quick. The polishing is where the invoice grows teeth. And the worst part, once you start opening up the deck, you sometimes discover it's not just a spot, it's a neighborhood. This all isn't to say that it can't be done. I've seen thousands of people do it and do it very well. But if you're going down this road, make sure the boat's worth it. If it's an old 1970s Newport or something, it's probably not worth doing. If it was already an annoying boat or a super common boat and you can just go buy another copy of it, maybe it's not worth doing. If you're looking at used boats, this is the #1 reason to walk away from a used boat: soft spots in the deck. We also have to look at chain plates while we're here. They're just stainless straps that connect the rig to the hull, right? How expensive could that be? It can surprise you. If you can access them easily and you're pretty handy, you might get away with under $1,000 to have some new ones made at a machine shop. Stainless stock is pretty expensive. But if they disappear behind cabinetry that was installed back when Knight Rider was on TV, now you're removing interior panels, you're cutting tabbing, grinding fiberglass in a space about the size of a microwave. Chain plates don't cost the real money. Access costs the real money. And if you pay someone by the hour to access something buried in your 40-year-old boat, you'll learn the new definition of the word expensive. And then we arrive at bulkhead tabbing while we're in there. If you don't know what this is, congratulations, you've made it this far. If you do know what tabbing is, I'm sorry. The tabbing is what bonds your structural bulkheads to the hull. A sailboat is basically a fiberglass tube, and the bulkheads stop the tube from getting all wobbly. If they let go, your boat is no longer a boat. The shape is just a suggestion. Fixing tabbing means grinding fiberglass inside your cabin. Dust everywhere, structural laminating, rebuilding strength and filleting and all kinds of stuff. You don't casually touch up tabbing. You're beginning a big project. And projects are where cheap boats turn into lifestyle decisions. Also, you'll be itchy for weeks afterwards, or you'll wear one of those whole body tie-back suits and be itchy. It's up to you. Now let's stack this up. Boat purchase, 5 grand. Standing rigging, let's say 8 if you do it properly. Sails, maybe you get away for between 3 and 4,000. Engine, 20 grand by the time you're done. Throw 4 grand into deck work. Chain plates, random hardware, hoses, wiring. While we're in there, we're going to do these few things, add a few more thousand. You're now flirting with $40,000 all told on the $5,000 boat. And here's the most painful part of the entire question. You could have just bought a $35,000 boat that was already well sorted and then gone sailing. Instead, you bought a project and called it a deal. Now let's be clear. Cheap boats are not bad. Small boats are not bad. Old boats are not bad. Deferred maintenance is what gets expensive. There's a difference. If a boat is cheap because it's simple, it's basic, maybe it's cosmetically rough and it's unfashionable, that can be a great buy. If a boat is cheap because the rigging is original, the sails are tired, the engine's on borrowed time, the decks are soft, the structure's tired, you didn't buy a bargain, you bought someone else's exhaustion. And exhaustion compounds over time. Here's the rule I want you to remember. The purchase price is not the price. The purchase price is the down payment to get the boat. If you're buying a cheap sailboat because you want to sail cheaply, you need to be brutally honest about what's actually tired and what's actually fine. Have someone else look at it without rose-colored glasses on. Can you inspect the rigging and be comfortable that it has life left? Can you look at the sails and know that they'll still hold shape? Can you assess deck moisture properly? Can you verify engine hours and maintenance? If you can't, you need margin, lots of margin, because boats don't surprise you by costing less. They surprise you by costing more. This is all not meant to discourage you, just paint the reality of boat ownership, so buy intelligently, and if you aren't independently wealthy, learn to do this stuff yourself. Being a sailor has made me an electrician, a plumber, a seamstress, an itchy fiberglass guy, and so much more. But that's kind of my point. What else was I going to be doing? If you need help buying a boat or you're planning your escape and want to chat, you can book a one-on-one consult with me at ladykSailing.com. The mission here at Lady K Sailing has always been to get more people sailing more easily, and I sure couldn't do that without the patrons, people who give as little as a couple of bucks an episode to help make these videos possible. If you'd like to help me get more people sailing more easily, please consider becoming a patron. Paid patrons get access to the app where we have the group chat and one-on-one messaging. I hope to see you there. Until next time, friends, keep the heavy side down, but not too far down. I love you guys.